Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday, January 27th, 2021 meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. At this time, in accordance with Mass Law, I need to ask if anybody in the audience is recording this meeting. And if so, please identify yourself. Raise your hand so we can bring you in. I see we have 6 attendees.
Sorry, I accidentally sent in Al Joyce. I'm going to send him back instead of. Okay, Tony should be in.
Yeah. I'm right here.
All right.
And Will just in there as well.
Okay, I guess we should be all set to go. The first item on the agenda is the January 13th, 2021 minutes. I had reviewed those and didn't have any changes or anything. Did anybody on the commission have any changes?
No.
Look good to me.
All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval of the January 13th, 2021 minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Elizabeth?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Tony?
Yes.
Jeff?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I'm a yes vote also. All right, the first item on the agenda is the request for a certificate of compliance for 99 Maple Shade Avenue. And I guess my first comment on this was I don't see how we could issue a certificate of compliance for this evening, as through some of the research by Jeff and Rebecca, there is no drawing on file of the existing of how the site exists, and we did do a site visit there last Saturday. Myself, Will Armett, Jeff Bosworth, and Tony were there. So I guess at this point, I see Tom Morissette is in the audience as a representative for the applicant. I don't know if he wants to speak, but I'll also turn it over to see if comments from commissioners before I opine.
Greg.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, Rebecca had done some research that came out late this afternoon. And apparently this project, or the original on this, was 1961. And there was some original NOI filed to create the driveway, which there were, I don't know if anybody's had a chance. I asked her to forward this documentation out. It was really late this afternoon, but basically there was some replication of the wetlands done way back in, I want to say, the 90s, early 90s. And there was an original notice of intent that went way back. And there was also, I mean, to do this. And apparently back at that time, the East Long Meadow Fire Department was consulted, and the fire chief said that they needed to have the driveway to be 14 feet wide to accommodate the fire trucks being able to get in there and access that property, since it sits so far back. And then there was a notice of intent for that. And then there was a certificate of compliance that was granted, but that was only for the creation of the driveway. And then I guess there was sometime, well, not, it was actually in 2013, The next notice of intent was filed, which is to do the dwelling back in there. And the last page of that NOI shows where the proposed building and driveway was going to be located. And I guess because of the time frame, I had a thought, and Rebecca reached out to Kevin, because I thought at the time he issued the building permit, maybe there was a plan submitted then. And apparently all he provided was the building permit and the final inspection on the electrical and that. So I don't know if there was ever a plan of how this thing was supposed to be built or where it was supposed to be located was ever done. So that's kind of where the whole thing stands. And judging by the original plan that was approved by the Conservation Commission back in 2013, it's different than the way the actual house and the portion of the driveway were constructed in the last couple of years. That's my comments.
Yeah.
So-
Go ahead,
Actually,
Tom.
So I'm familiar with the property, and I've seen it from start to finish regarding construction via the Conservation Commission, via it being right down the street from me. And the finished product's beautiful. It's, that highland existed before the house was buildable as far as the Conservation Commission was concerned. I don't know what they gave back for wetland area, but me personally, the finished product's great. The erosion controls are, they're almost non-existent now, but the lawn's in, so there's virtually no erosion. So my suggestion is, if there's no permanent boundaries, that they be put in, and that we just put this thing to bed. Because it's an existing house with an existing driveway, an existing flat area that is surrounded by wetlands, yes, but the finished product is good. I'm happy with it. And as long as we use the existing yard as maybe a boundary, then I'm fine with it.
When we were out there on Saturday, the permanent markers have been installed. The erosion controls definitely need some repairs. But if I can go back to some of Jeff's comments, I was actually on the commission in 2012 when they issued the certificate of compliance for the original filing. And also with that, there was one or two extension orders issued also. And yeah, I went through this quickly today, didn't have a lot of time at work to look at it. But yes, it was essentially for the wetlands replication and to do what they needed to do in order to construct a house there.
Craig, Mike Smith is also in the audience with his hand raised, as well as Tom Morissette, if you'd like any comments from them.
Okay. We can bring them in a minute. And I guess I'm just wondering, and I'll offer my comments on it. Frankly, I'm quite surprised. And there was never any notice of amendment brought back to the commission. And the amount of difference between the approved plan and the as-built plan. The initial filing was done in order to put in a certain limit of work line and provide for the house and the driveway to be installed. And, on two sides of the property, the work has been done way over the limit of work line. I guess on the left-hand side, if you will, of the driveway when you're going in, the driveway as shown on the drawing by Mr. Smith. goes way over where the limit of work line is, and there appears to be a spray painted dot in the driveway where the permanent limit of work marker was supposed to be installed. And, you know, the house is in a different location, the driveway's in a different location, and the turnaround is in a different location. So I do have some issues with that. But I guess if, I'd like to see if any other commissioners would like to comment on that, and then we'll entertain comments from Mr. Morissette and Mr. Smith.
Through the chair. The original NOI filing did show the limit of work markers, and they were in place when we were out there for the site visit and looked like they had been there for some time. But where the turnaround area on the driveway, based upon the letter submitted by Smith Associates for the certificate of compliance and noting the deviation. And I assume he's the one who put the pink dot on the driveway as to where the limit of work marker was. It almost appears to me like there was a limit of work, a permanent marker there, but it had been removed to put in the asphalt, which was, I think the driveway was done sometime last fall. So, I mean, that's, and clearly the turnaround on the original drawing was supposed to be on the right side of the driveway. And in actuality, it was put in on the left side, which now makes it about, probably about 10 or 12 feet away from the wetland that's there.
Other commissioners? Tony, Francis, Elizabeth?
I got to agree with Jeff. I mean, that turnaround, that driveway is like inches over from the line. I mean, you know,
Francis?
I'm surprised that the driveway is even so close. As you approach the house, it's like 3 feet or 4 feet from the riverbank.
It is an intermittent stream. Yep. Francis? You're on mute, Francis.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I've got both plans that I've been looking at side by side, and I wish I'd been able to go for the site visit, but I couldn't make it. But it's a big deviation. I don't like the fact that Tony just pointed out that the driveway has been moved to a place that is not really, not the best. It's too close to the wetlands. And it's totally the other side of the house. I mean, we didn't see that beforehand. So I don't know. That's my comment. I don't like that there's such a big change from the plan to the current proposition. I guess it's already built, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. What's the distance from the edge of the driveway to the limit of work line?
Let's see if I can.
It varies.
No, but what's the closest distance?
The one that's current to the current plan. Let me look if I can tell. It's like a hand-drawn thing, so I can't tell the distance.
It's a couple feet along where the driveway was installed.
It's over the limit of work line. Let me see. Over the, hold on. Oh,
You're probably talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 feet or more in some spots.
but
So
it's definitely,
Right, it's 10 feet, but it's within their space to work, correct? And it's virtually zero grade change from the edge of the driveway to the limit of work. So they're within their area to work within, right?
No,
They haven't exceeded it? Have they gone beyond the limit of work line?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
10 or 15 feet beyond the limit of work line. And it looks like one of the limit of work line markers was removed so that the driveway could be put in.
yeah.
Have you looked at the drawing, Tom?
I was at the site like about a month ago, and I couldn't remember if the boundaries are in or not.
Yes, they were.
I could share screen if it's possible. Do you want me to share the screen? Or can you get the drawing, Tom?
I can pull it up.
Okay, because you'll see it.
I guess,
Through the chair,
go ahead, Tony.
my recommendation is to take that turnaround out. I'd be happy with that.
Okay.
Because that turnaround in the driveway goes right over the work line, right there. That's where one of the monuments were. I believe there were two, and they're gone.
Yeah. In my
As you make that curve, approaching the garage, that turnaround, yeah, I would be happy if they took it out and returned it to what it's supposed to be like.
And I would say, Tom, that the end of the driveway ends probably 15 to 17 feet away from the limit of work line that was shown. It is a pretty extensive amount of paved driveway over the limit of work line. And I guess I'll ask if Tom Morissette or Michael would like to speak. We could let either one in, or both.
Other, oh, yeah.
Hello, you guys have me?
Yep.
Yes, Michael. You still there, Mike?
Hello?
We can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you.
I
Mike.
hear you.
You have both
Hello?
Tom and Michael there, Craig, but
Mhm.
for some reason, they can't hear us, is what I think is happening.
I can hear Michael.
I know, but he's not hearing us. And I don't know about Tom.
Can you hear us, Tom?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay, so Tom could speak.
How about, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just quickly addressing a couple of things that I heard. I'm sorry, I'm on my phone. I'm not used to doing this on my phone, but the wetland markers were not ever removed. They were put in a few weeks ago. I put the stakes in, saw the holes get dug, saw the monuments get put in, and I put the spray paint mark in the driveway. So
Okay.
they did not remove monuments to put it in. And you're correct. The only area that they encroached past the limit of work line was where that driveway turnaround that I showed on the plan was. The rest of it ran right along the edge of the limit of work line. Addressing where the house was, and I think I remember on the 1960s plan, they had an area that they were allowed to clear where the house was in, which fell well within the limit of work line.
Mhm.
And I think they just changed the orientation of the house, the direction it was facing.
If I may, I would say the house is facing the same way, but on the original plan, the house was set much farther back. And the driveway, on the plan that was submitted with the notice of intent anyway, excuse me. The
Yeah.
house was set much farther back, and the driveway was going in on the right-hand side of the house, not the left-hand side. And the other area of encroachment, just for the record, is on the right-hand side of the house, where it's actually grass over there now, where I'm gonna say that one, and that one doesn't bother me as much, but there's an area of 10 to 15 feet away where that appears to be over the limit of work line also that was approved.
Yeah, it looked as though they had grassed an area. Yeah, I know where you're talking, correct.
Tom, would you like to add something?
Who's that? Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Donna, and I didn't see a Donna on there. No, I was just wanted to point out earlier that there was the as-built plan that was submitted with the application, And somebody had mentioned that there was no plan, and that's why that's all I wanted to point out. I understand that the driveway was put in incorrectly. I just, I don't know where we go from here. Taking it out seems more harmful than leaving it there. With everything that they did there, the extensive work that was done to keep the wetlands nice and clean and safe, this little bit of encroachment, in my opinion, is minor compared to everything else that was done back there. And to cut it up and change it just seems like some work that really would be more harmful to what's there already. But just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. What I was referring to with the lack of the plan was, in order for us to issue a certificate of compliance, there needs to be a plan on file at the Registry of Deeds, which doesn't exist right now. Any other comments from the commission?
The chair, Craig.
Please.
We did not receive, at least I didn't receive, the as-built plan. I don't know if anyone else has seen that.
That was submitted with the application.
For the certificate of compliance.
Correct. The certificate of compliance application, correct.
Right. There was no prior amendment to what was approved requested.
Oh, I see it says as built on the plan I have. Okay, I see that. I missed that.
Mhm. And currently, just so everyone is aware also, currently this order of conditions is expired. And I guess I will opine some more, and I would, respectfully disagree with Mr. Morissette in the removing of the driveway would do more harm than good. What could be done is that driveway could be removed, that portion of the driveway, and, the resource area would need to be replicated, which is something that happens all the time when we have violations. Because I guess I would like to point out is this is obviously what we have here. We have some violations on this site right now. Any other comments from the commission?
Well, the only thing that I'd like to point out is that the whole point of limited work line is that you don't exceed that, not you just blatantly disregard it.
I would tend to agree.
I'm not quite sure it was blatantly disregarded. I don't know how it took place, but the word blatantly disregarded is not proper language, I don't think.
I have a question.
Please.
Was there ever a plan submitted with, before this one that we just got, was there ever a plan submitted with the changes as built? In other words, it's been built according to this plan that we just received from Smith Associates. But was there another plan that was submitted?
There was never a request to amend the plan
That's
or
what I mean.
to build it as it is. The only plan on file at the town hall is the one that was enclosed with the original notice of intent.
Which is
It showed the
completely
house and
different. And that's
Yeah.
completely different from the way it was built.
Correct.
So that's an irregularity right there. That's unusual. We never got a chance to see it before they went ahead and built it with the changes. That's what I'm saying. They never came to the commission.
That's been going on for what 10 years now?
Oh,
Like construction, at least 7. I know that Craig and I have been, well, I can't speak for Craig, but I can in the fact that I know that he's told me he's been out there many times, and I as well have been out there many times. And what is the current, it's still the original owner, or is it been sold?
No,
And
it's in
is
the
it
process
occupied?
of, it's pending now. It's pending sale. It's still owned by Artie Ram.
When did the driveway get put in? A year ago?
September, August, September, something like that.
And this was, I mean, I've looked at that building envelope, like I said, for at least five years, probably longer, since the construction's been underway. I know Craig's been out there because he's told me as much. When I went out there a month ago, I didn't see the limit of work boundaries, and it's probably because they weren't there. But the site looked good to me. I mean, it's a beautiful home. It's an asset to our community. I don't know. I get the other commissioner's point, but just because of the length of the project and, you know, maybe our lack of overseeing it has something to do with it as well. But to tear up the driveway on a beautiful piece of real estate in our town, it's got a yard that's grown in, and there's no erosion, there's no harm to the wetland at this point, just seems excessive to me. Yes, they're wrong. Maybe they could give up some land on the other side to compensate. You know, maybe move a boundary in to the other side against the wetland and let that get reclaimed.
Question.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, that was going to be my question is, do we have other options besides for tearing out the driveway? Because it seems very expensive at this point. And I mean, to be respectful, it is up for sale. They are trying to close the sale. And is there another thing, anything else that they could potentially do to make up for going over that limit of work line in the driveway?
Through the chair.
Please, Tony.
We're not talking about taking up the whole driveway. We're talking about taking up this area, the turnaround. And, you know, we just can't start making up rules for different people. You got to set some sort of precedent. And this was just done. And I know, Tom, it is neat, it's clean, it's beautiful. However, we just didn't approach that line. We exceeded about 20 feet beyond it, not more. I recommend that turnaround gets taken out.
If I can address your comment, Elizabeth, and that's a very interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things that could be done, an option, I'm not sure how viable it is in this project, but it's worth discussing. We could ask for a wetland to be replicated or some area, other area, to have the limit of work line moved to compensate for it. I'm just not sure how applicable it is in this particular one based on the site visit. Jeff, do you think we could do anything like that out there? I mean, in my opinion, all we could be doing would be taking away lawn.
Well, sort of. Craig, am I on?
Go ahead,
Yes.
Michael.
Yeah, so on the left-hand side of the house, as you're looking at the driveway, the limit of work stakes go well into the woods.
All right.
If you remember, on the left-hand side of the house, there's like a raised sewer manhole.
Yes.
Right on the edge of the clearing. There, the actual limit of work line was well into the woods there. So there's a substantial amount of property on the left-hand side of the house that is currently wooded, but outside of the limit of work line. So There is room in there. If you could, I don't remember if I showed the wood line on the left-hand side on my as-built. I don't have a copy in front of me,
You
unfortunately.
do. Yes, you do.
But yeah, I know that there was a substantial piece of property on that left-hand side.
So if you're looking at that plan, I'm sorry if I'm out of turn here, but if you're looking at that plan, there's on the left side of the house, as Mike was saying, there's the words that say limit of work line. And that is all of that area there is in the trees, in the woods. You could see the squiggly line that goes from right where the sewer line is and that manhole that he was talking about. From the limit of work line to the squiggly lines for the tree line, that's all it's all woods. That's all undisturbed property.
I see what you're saying now.
I mean, for the 10 or 12 feet that we're talking about the driveway, we could definitely add, move that limit of work line closer to the tree line.
That's what I was just gonna say. If you thought the homeowner / applicant would be okay with that.
I'm sure he would be.
Comments from the commission? Looking at that.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
right?
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. You know, when I was out Saturday with you guys, I'm still saying that turnaround, I think is a much more fragile area because it slopes right in toward that riverbank. And I think over a period of time, with all the additives you're going to add onto that driveway in the winter, like salt and sand, is going to find its way into the river. That's how much of a slope there is right there. The other parts, okay, but that's a very fragile area right there. Maybe if it didn't have much of a pitch, but certainly there's quite a bit of pitch that leads right into that riverbank. And when I was out there, I thought it was much closer than what this diagram shows.
I would tend to agree that I do think it's a little bit closer than what's shown on the drawing here. But Jeff, did you want to comment?
Well, Tony's thought was the same thought that I had, that with the closeness of that turnaround to the wetland area, it's just going to exacerbate, any salt or other runoff that's going, and it's going to push it because you have very little buffer of graded area between that and the bank of the where the water stream runs through there. But it's just that the original plan showed the turnaround being on the right side of the driveway instead of on the left side. I know that would have put it more in the front of the house, but
Question to the chair.
Please, Francis.
Do we have to issue another order of conditions since this one is expired, or can we amend it?
Well, technically right now, this order of conditions cannot be amended because it's been expired for quite a long period of time. A new notice of intent would be required.
Because I was going to suggest that as a condition, we could require that no chemicals be used on the driveway. There's natural ways of, preventing ice and things that they would have to use because if it is in fact at such a pitch that it's going down into the wetlands, we would not want chemicals coming from that driveway if we allow that driveway to be so, into the limit of work. To me, that's very important, but
Yep.
I don't know how we could issue that. That was just my thought.
And
Great.
Who's
Can I make
going
a
to
motion?
enforce it? That's the problem.
if I could take a moment, since you brought that up, Francis, and I'll be just reading a brief passage from the handbook. And determine whether an amended order of conditions should be issued or a new notice of intent required. DEP recommends considering whether, 1, the purpose of the project is changed, which it hasn't. 2, the scope of the project has increased, and you could say that it has, but it could decrease if the lines move. 3, the project as revised meets relevant performance standards. 4, the potential for adverse impacts to the protected statutory interest will be increased. So that one could kind of go either way, but generally, if the scope of the purpose has changed substantially or the impacts upon the interest protected by the act are increased, a new notice of intent is warranted. If the changes are relatively minor or impacts lessened, an amended OOC is appropriate. Again, the final decision on this matter rests entirely with the commission. And I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to interrupt. Were you going to say something, Tom?
Well, I would ask you that, didn't you say earlier that we couldn't vote on it tonight? And if those are your words.
Yes, we cannot vote to approve an order of conditions without something being on file at the Registry of Deeds with the as-built and plans that are approved by the commission. That is correct.
Okay, then I would make a motion that we chair it to the next meeting.
There's been a motion made, and then a motion made to continue this hearing or this meeting until the next meeting? That's your motion, Tom?
That's correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I guess,
Can I mention something? I mean,
please feel free to, Tom. Sure.
we're trying to complete a sale here. We're looking for, I understand the driveway was put in where it wasn't supposed to be. How that happened, I don't know. I wasn't involved in that. But I mean, the driveway itself, the entire length of the driveway is closer to the wetlands than this little turnaround is. I don't understand how currently there's no restrictions restricting that driveway from having any kind of chemicals on it. But now, because there's this little turnaround, we have to have some restrictions. Is there anything that we can do with that limit of work line behind the sewer line there for replication that we can get this taken care of?
Sorry, Tom, I want to make a correction. On the current order of conditions was not based on the plan that you just presented.
But the
Current
driveway,
order of conditions, which has expired now, was based on the original plan where the driveway was on the other side and not as exposed to the wetlands.
not the length of the driveway. We're talking about the turnaround is the only thing that's improper.
It was
The
on
length
the left, it was on the other side.
The turnaround, right.
Closer to the house.
I'm talking about the very long driveway that comes in from Maple Shade Avenue. That's all much closer than we're talking the turnaround is right now.
Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't see it physically, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. If you look at the as-built plan, this long driveway that comes in is very close to the wetlands, and there are no restrictions about chemicals on that. And I have to disagree with this. I understand there is some slope where the water and anything that runs off of that driveway is going to run towards that wetlands, but that's going to be the whole length of that driveway.
I see. I wasn't on the commission. I'm sorry. It's an issue that
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, just to answer Tom Morset's, when he had said, the long part of the driveway, I'm wondering how that ever got approved myself. I mean, it's like 10 feet from the riverbank. I'd like to know who approved that. Never mind the turnaround.
Yep. Tony, that was all in the paperwork that was emailed out today and came in the packets. It was done in the 60s. And I guess I'm gonna go back here and I don't mean to belay this and Tom, I understand there's a sale pending, but unfortunately that cannot influence the decision of the commission.
I'm not asking you to influence. I'm just asking for some kind of direction in the future.
Right. But you know, I'm being open-minded here, and where we have the permanent limit of work markers currently installed, the ones that we're referring to that are in the woods,
Yeah.
those are installed, you know, at approximately the 50 with a 50-foot buffer zone back there, and so going back, you know, to Elizabeth's point that she brought out, you know, moving those out to 100 feet, which, according to Mr. Morissette, he does not believe the applicant would have much of an issue with. And based on the way I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the house, I don't believe that they would either, because it is a very nice yard and it's substantial there. And I would tend to agree with Tom's comments that, you know, we're looking at a small portion of a driveway extension here when we've got 200 feet of the driveway next to the intermittent stream. And I just want to be clear with that. That is an intermittent stream that is along the side of the driveway, and there is a wetland there. And yes, that was approved. And so that all that work done is completely separate from this. And there was a certificate of compliance issued for that work being done, Tony. So that was all set, done, and approved. So you know.
So is there a potential to use the replication?
Well, and I don't know that replication would be quite correct, Tom, and I guess I'm not sure if those limit of work markers are installed, all of them are installed in the woods or not. We didn't see them, we saw one.
They're all installed.
They're all installed out there? Thank you, Mike.
No, that was Tom.
Tom, okay.
Well, I'm just saying, this is the most vulnerable spot right here where that turnaround is, the sloping. And I just see, I don't know, I just see down the road, it's just gonna, whatever you put on that driveway, where salt or sand, even if you didn't put anything on it, still, I mean, it's right there. I mean, we're not talking about a foot, we're talking about 15, 20 feet.
Yep. But
And there was a marker there, and it was removed.
the marker was never installed.
Never installed there, yeah.
Never installed. And I guess I understand what you're saying, Tony. However, but when I think you need to try and take into consideration the couple hundred feet of driveway that's right next to it.
I realize that.
But personally, and based
But
on
that was approved. But that was approved. This portion was not.
correct.
That's
but-
what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going back towards Elizabeth's very good suggestion. Is there something else that can be done to compensate for this? And in looking at it, you know, in hindsight now, I didn't look at it from that aspect before. And as I stated in the beginning, I was definitely all on board with, yeah, that thing's got to come out. But in looking at the plans and seeing that, I believe it's a very reasonable trade-off for the amount of land where the driveway turnaround is, if the other permanent limit of work markers are moved out to the 100-foot buffer zone, which is pretty much entirely in the woods right now, which has been undisturbed. And currently right now, the homeowner could go clear all of that. They could go clear 50+ feet into the woods. So we'd be saving more geographical area along that wetland that's back there. And so I tend to think that that's a reasonable trade-off when, you know, we're not going through this where we need to file a new notice of intent. But I guess it's a pretty massive change. I don't know how we can just issue a certificate of compliance and not have a new NOI filed because of the lateness of the or how much time has expired since these orders have expired. Hi, Tom.
How you doing? Sorry, I didn't realize it was off. I thought you guys shut it off.
No. Yeah, it's been almost 5 years since the notice of intent expired.
Well, I just as a little bit of a history here, this house was being built, started to be built in 2005. I don't know when this expired. Is there a date when this expired?
2016.
Okay, so the building permit was taken out in 2015. Mrs. Ram passed away, and I can't remember if it was 2017 or 18. A lot of things stopped because that happened. So, and not that that's should weigh on anybody's, you know, mind, but it's just the sequence of events and the timelines of things that happened. That's probably why things did not get done in a reasonable time frame. But this is where we are now. We want to do whatever we got to do to make this happen. I personally believe taking that turnaround out is overkill for that. I think if we replicate and give you some of that wetlands, some of that other land in the back, we can move those limit of work lines, like Craig said, another 50 feet. And, you know, go from there.
Okay. So we've been having a lot of discussion, and there is still a motion on the floor that has been made and seconded regarding continuing this to on our next meeting. I guess what I'm thinking right now is I think we can move this along quicker than that, by making a decision of some sort that, and I know it takes a little time, and it might not necessarily agree with what your time frame would like to be, Tom, but I think it could be the best alternative is, you know, that I believe the fastest thing would be if we do not issue this certificate of compliance. We can't do it for how it is built without having a new notice of intent filed. I just don't believe we can. We can double check that, but I don't believe we could do that. But we could have a new notice of intent filed with the as-built plans and with the drawings changed, and then, you know, hopefully that, you know, and then the commission could make a decision based on that. And so I think I would rather pursue that avenue. And that being said, would the commission like to vote on the motion that's on the floor to continue this to the next meeting right now?
So moved.
Well,
Okay,
Greg, I have a suggestion.
fire away,
Would-
Bethany.
Would an ANRAD be appropriate in this circumstance? It's a little less intense than a notice of intent. I would have to check the handbook to be sure. I'm just looking at the order for an ANRAD.
An NRAD just for delineation only, though, not for building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it is delineation, correct?
It's already built.
Yeah.
But if we're changing the lines, is that delineation?
no, the delineation is of the wetland only. It has nothing to do with the limited work line.
And and a structure. Yeah. Yep. So we have this motion on the floor to continue this meeting to our next meeting. It's been made and seconded. So I guess we'll move forward and take a vote on this. The motion is to continue this meeting to our next meeting. Elizabeth,
I'm not sure. I'm going to abstain.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
You're muted, Francis.
you're on mute, Francis.
I couldn't get it off.
I'm going to vote no on that because I really think we could have moved forward quicker tonight to keep this thing moving. So I guess we'll revisit this issue next week and we will check into seeing exactly, or in 2 weeks from now. Oh, no, wait a minute. Might be longer than that.
Wonderful.
Then I have a problem with that vote because I heard what you said, Craig, that we couldn't move forward until, didn't you say we needed a new NOI?
Yes,
Well, I'm going to have to abstain because I don't understand.
I'll come back to it. You already voted. I'll just come back to it,
All
Francis.
right.
Okay.
all right.
Did we get a vote from Will?
Will is recused from this part of it.
Okay.
Thank you. So we need to address this subject again, Tom, at our February 10th meeting.
In the meantime, could he start the application for the new NOI, or is that part of the February 10th conversation?
That was kind of my question as well. Can I prepare a plan showing the proposed limit of work line shifting on the left-hand side so that there's something to look at?
Yes, because, and I apologize to the commission because I thought I was trying to lean it that way. I was looking for a no vote on that because then we could have said, no, we're not going to continue this to the next meeting. We're going to say no on the certificate of compliance and you need to file a new notice of intent, which
Oh.
will be brought in for our next meeting.
That's what I thought I was voting on. See, confusion.
Yeah. Then we were voting on continuing the meeting. That was the motion that was on the floor.
Can somebody make another motion?
Tom O'Brien, if you were speaking, it was muted.
Can't hear you, Tom.
You're still muted, Tom.
Sorry about that. We voted to table this.
For
Correct.
the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Can anybody make another motion? Or is that it?
Frankly, I'm not sure. Would you know, Bethany?
I think you can make another motion to rescind the previous motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to rescind the previous motion to table this until the next meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll go around again. There's a motion to rescind the motion to continue the meeting. Elizabeth,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Tom,
Nay.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. Currently, right now then, I guess moving forward, I will entertain a motion to vote no on the certificate of compliance and request that the applicant file a new notice of intent with the as-built plans.
So moved.
Whoa. So
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, go ahead, Tom.
So you didn't get the vote you liked. So you continued the discussion, and now you're going to get the vote you want. So that you said earlier we couldn't vote on. Is that what's happening right now?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow that.
All right. So you've just had the vote rescinded to table this because you said earlier we could not vote on this, and now you're having us vote on it after having it rescinded. Correct?
I do not believe I said we could not vote on it. I said we could not issue an order of compliance on it or a certificate of compliance.
Define the difference.
The certificate of compliance, issuing a certificate of compliance or not issuing one. We voted to not issue the certificate of compliance.
All right.
No.
So you're having a vote to.
And we're asking the applicant to come back in with a new notice of intent with an as-built plan, which we need to do because the existing one has been expired for over 5 years.
I think your words were that we couldn't vote on it because it wasn't filed properly.
I don't believe I said that.
You said it wasn't filed with an appropriate diagram.
That is one of the reasons we could not issue a certificate of compliance, correct? There was no plan on file at the Registry of Deeds. That's the reason we could not issue a certificate of compliance on this tonight.
So how can we vote on it if it's not, in your words, not appropriate before us?
Because we did a no vote on it.
We are doing a no vote on the certificate of issuing the certificate of compliance.
No, but that's not that. Whoa. He said he's looking for them to file an NOI, right?
Right.
So
yes.
So can I ask a question? Once we submit the NOI with the plan and record the plan at the Registry of Deeds, at that point, can we reapply for a certificate of compliance?
Correct.
Thank you.
So just to jump in quickly, so you would receive a new order of conditions with the new DEP number, and the certificate of compliance would be related to that order of conditions.
And how long does that take?
2 meetings. End of February.
Okay.
Tom, are you with this, or you understand what we did, or?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, here was my thoughts that you let them amend it, all right, with a diagram representing different boundaries that gives back, it allows wetland reclamation. And then we visit it next meeting with this adjusted diagram, and it's still the same thing before us without the added time and cost to the parties, and we can put this thing to bed, or we can vote on to put it to bed. Otherwise, the way we're going to do this is we're going to make them wait another month, hold a potential sale up. All right, that's something that's a beautiful piece of property, and let them incur another $3,000 to $5,000 in costs. Just to be clear, that's what's going on here.
And you can look at it that way if you wish, Tom, but our hands are somewhat tied in the matter. Because if you look at the regulations for filing an amendment, the decision rests with the commission, but I believe it's well outside that. But, it's also in the regulations that, if conditions are expired, a new notice of intent needs to be filed. We can't extend these conditions. It needs to be redone. And this is why it's important, like I talk about at the meetings a lot, that we stay on top of these things and have people, you know, get extension permits and we get these certificates of compliance done. I mean, and it's nobody's particular fault that these conditions in this order has expired and been expired for so long.
We had no idea that the order of conditions were expired.
Mhm.
If we would have known this, we would have jumped through all the hoops we had to do already.
Yeah. You know, the original notice of intent for the project previously had extensions done on it. There was one, maybe two done on the first order, on the first notice of intent for this project to put the road in.
If I may, through the chair, the current, or the notice of notice of intent that expired was filed in June. That was for the construction of the house and all that goes along with that. And the owner of the house or the property should have had a copy of that. However, the building permit, as you stated, was filed for in 2015. The notice of intent expired in June of 2016. Prior to that expiration date, there could have been filed for an extension. However, that not being done, and we're almost 5 years later, we really don't have any choice.
And I believe this is a much better alternative than my original thinking coming into this meeting. And because my original thinking was, no, I'm not in favor of this at all. And again, I will thank Elizabeth for bringing up that good idea, because I was going to say, no, I wanted to vote, no, we're not going to issue the order of conditions. And I was ready to have an enforcement order issued to correct some of the violations out there, you know, including, you know, the driveway as well as the erosion controls need to be fixed out there because they are in bad shape, just as you stated, Tom. And if you haven't been there in a few weeks, I'm sure if you went out there, they're worse than the last time you were there. But so, Tom, yeah, if you could make a note to speak with the homeowner, then it would be good to have the erosion controls repaired there also prior to coming in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Point of order. Craig, you said that we weren't going to improve the order of conditions. You meant the request for certificate of compliance. Right?
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, that's what I meant.
I'm getting confused, sorry. Okay.
Me too. All righty.
On the decision, just so everybody's aware, on the decision for the certificate of compliance, the option for denying it says invalid order of conditions. It is hereby certified that the work regulated by the above referenced order of conditions never commenced. I don't think that's correct. The order of conditions has lapsed and therefore is no longer valid.
Yes.
No future work subject to regulation under the Wetlands Protection Act may commence without filing a new notice of intent and receiving a new order of conditions. So I believe that's the option that it sounds like the commission is leaning towards. I just wanted to read that language for you.
Could you read it again, the one that you think we should have as an option? What is the one?
So there's a couple options. All of them are, you would just check all that apply. So the first one is a complete certificate. That's when you approve a certificate of compliance. If an order of conditions applies for—
Now, are you reading the second one? Could you say second, third, whatever?
Yeah, this is the second one. This is for a partial certification. This is if an order of condition applies to an entire subdivision and you are just releasing one lot out of that whole subdivision. And then the third one is invalid order of conditions. That's, I think, the one that applies to this situation. Yeah. The next one, which would be the fourth, says ongoing conditions. That's if you are approving the certificate of compliance, but you want to note that there are certain conditions that will continue despite the approval for the certificate of compliance. And the last one is regarding an order of resource area delineation.
So number 3 is the one that we are looking at, right?
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
For the record, if you could repeat that one again, Bethany?
Sure, it says invalid order of conditions. It is hereby certified that the work regulated by the above referenced order of conditions never commenced. The order of conditions has lapsed and is therefore no longer valid. No future work subject to regulation under the Wetlands Protection Act may commence without filing a new notice of intent and receiving a new order of conditions.
Slightly incorrect because work has commenced.
Right, and I'll probably check with Mark Stinson to make sure that's the correct option. That's the only one that seems like it applies.
So which is the one that seems like it applies? Could you just read that?
That's the one that I just read.
Oh, you read the whole thing. It's all
Yep.
of that? Oh, I didn't realize that.
So work has
commenced though,
commenced.
so I'm
Work
not
has-
sure which option would apply in this situation.
So work has commenced, but it's also been completed. I mean, it's basically done with the exception of if you want to move the limit of work line on those.
Yeah, well, the work was completed without following the plan that was submitted. That's the problem.
Correct, but that's not what it says. I'm just trying to get a handle on what that actually is saying.
And the order of conditions is invalid because it's expired. That's on there, right?
Yes.
I don't have that right in front of me, but yes, that is a technicality on that. And I guess we'll have to check with Mark Stinson, the DEP rep, but that was the one I was somewhat familiar with that terminology that it had expired. I forgot about the work not commencing thing, but I believe, in my opinion, this is the cleanest, fastest way to make this happen. And it's both beneficial to the resource area with the extra property gained and to be accommodating to the applicant as best we can legally do.
Okay.
All righty. I guess we'll be in touch, Tom. Mike, if Tom, should we be talking to you on this, or are you representing Artie on it, or?
That's correct. Between me and Mike Smith.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
If you could email the town hall, Tom, so we got your contact information. If you could email it.
I think Bethany has that because she sent me this link.
Good to go then. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Appreciate your time.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, that one took a little longer than expected.
Did we vote on the last motion? Can someone help Rebecca or Bethany? Did we vote on that?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
You
gonna vote
voted
yes.
to rescind the vote to table it.
But the next one that Craig just made, he made a
That one,
recommendation.
yeah, that one's still on the floor. I don't believe we did vote on that.
I don't think so. I'm getting kind of flustered, but okay. Try to keep track of what's going on here.
And so that was the motion to vote no on the certificate of compliance and request that a new notice of intent be filed for our next meeting.
You can't make a motion in the negative. You just made a motion to vote no. You need to
Oh,
make
you
a
have to
motion to vote on the certificate of compliance.
The motion to not approve the certificate of compliance then.
But that's still in the negative. The motion needs to be, I make a motion, we vote on the certificate of compliance.
Doesn't make sense.
I'm not sure
All
about
right,
that
so
rule.
hear me out. All right, you can't make a motion to vote no on something. That's voting, that's a motion in the negative.
I see what
All
you're
right.
saying, okay. I guess then at this point, moving forward to be proper, I will entertain a motion to withdraw the motion that is on the floor currently.
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jeff,
Aye.
Tom,
aye.
Tony,
Where am I?
Francis,
Could you repeat the motion that is currently on the floor?
the motion that's on the floor is to remove the motion, the previously made motion that was made and seconded.
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. Right now, I will entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of compliance for 99 Maple Shade Avenue.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Jeff,
No.
Tom,
No.
Tony,
No.
Francis,
No.
Elizabeth,
No.
and I'm a no vote also. I will entertain a motion for the request for a new notice of intent be filed for 99 Maple Shade Ave.
So
Second.
moved.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Second.
Made by Jeff, seconded by Francis.
Thank you.
Jeff,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am an I vote also. Thank you all for your assistance with that endeavor. All right, the next item that we have on the agenda is a request for an extension permit for 216 Summers Road, which is a Jeffrey Lane extension, also another way to look at it. This is essentially the notice of intent that we had on file for this, was to approve the 50-foot limit of work line delineation and to allow for the clearing of trees there. We had no plan as far as what was to be built for a road or a house or anything like that. And at the time of this filing, the applicant was well aware that that a new notice of intent needed to be filed. It was actually included in the conditions in the previous notice. The way I look at this one, we should be asking this applicant to request a certificate of compliance on this notice of intent, because apparently he has gone to the planning board with a building plan showing a turnaround and a house in there, and we would need a new notice of intent filing for that.
He's also planning on requesting an extension from the planning board as well. Just so you know.
Okay, thank you. The plan that the planning board approved was something that through Jeff's diligence, we just got a copy of it, but that was something that hadn't been seen and hadn't been approved and is actually beyond the 50-foot limit of work line that the commission approved on this plan, on this notice of intent. And based on, and just kind of like what I read before with the section for amending a notice of intent, this is way outside the scope of work and way too involved in considering a paved street and a house compared to just approving a delineation and clearing of land. I don't believe that that would qualify for an amendment to an existing notice of intent. Comments from the commission?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Couple things. First, this original filing doesn't expire until September of this year. So, I
Okay.
mean, there's still plenty of time. And when he first came before us, we tried to get him to not file this until he had some kind of ruling from the planning board as to what they were going to require, because he originally had just a small hammerhead on the end of that street, which I told him I didn't believe the planning board would approve, nor would the fire department, because there would be no possible turnaround for emergency vehicles in there. And I remember we did tell him that he would have to come back before us once he went to the planning board with whatever plan he had provided to them. And in getting the plans from the planning office of what the planning board approved, yes, he did have to put in a very large cul-de-sac in there, 60-foot radius, which the original notice of intent said he could not do work inside the 50-foot buffer zone. And this probably goes to 25 feet inside the buffer zone and probably within 20 and 25 feet to the wetland line. And it takes up a good chunk of that buffer zone he's not supposed to exceed. Also, there's no DEP signing out there with the DEP number for that project, which he's supposed to put up and maintain. And therefore, I don't know, maybe we should send him a letter saying that, you know, he hasn't complied with what the original filing was for, unless he wants to alter his plan. I mean, he has to go before the planning board anyway, so. But that's just some, and I think I had Rebecca send you all copies of the plans and the original notice of intent so everybody could review that.
Currently, as it sits, Jeff, what
What's that?
has he complied with? Because he
What's
really
that?
hasn't done anything other than the land clearing, right?
He put in the silt fence for the erosion control, but I don't know if that's been maintained because that's been a couple of years now.
Yep.
And basically all he did is clear the whole property, but since it's all grown back in again.
But so then he's not necessarily not compliant with his existing order unless he's gone beyond the limit of work.
Right. Well,
Okay.
he hasn't, so far from what I've seen, when he did the original clearing, he never went beyond the limit of work line.
Yeah.
But when you look at the proposed construction plan that was presented to the planning board, which they approved, that whole paved street and cul-de-sac area goes well beyond the limit of work line. He goes probably 25 feet into the 50-foot buffer zone, where clearly he's not supposed to go beyond the 50-foot buffer zone.
Right, and that's where my thinking was on this, that, you know, we should send him a letter too, that, you know, he has time left, and if he wishes, he could try to file an amended notice of intent.
Right.
But he really should look at what he's asking for there. And make him aware that this plan that was approved by the planning board was definitely not approved by the commission.
Yeah.
And he's outside his approved limit of work line, which, and I guess, Bethany, if even in the letter, you could state that the regulation to him, where it's, you know, it's right in there. You know, the scope of the project has increased. Obviously it has. He's going outside his existing limit of work line. And so therefore, you know, I think we should recommend that he file for a certificate of compliance on this notice of intent, just because I believe it's the cleanest way to go. And then file a new notice of intent to actually construct the house and the road. Comments from the commission?
I think that's a good idea because he's under the impression, I happened to run into the realtor who's got that property, and he told the realtor that it's shovel ready, he can start construction right away. And I said, no, that's not the case, is what I told the realtor. I said, he still has to come back before the Conservation Commission, which he was told way back then. So I think we need to enlighten him as to what's transpiring.
Comments from other commissioners? Tony?
No, I'm all set.
So I guess based on that, I will entertain a motion to continue the discussion of an extension permit for 216 Summers Road and to have a letter sent to the applicant.
Would you like us to try to get the applicant on for the next meeting so they can be here for a discussion?
Sure.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Will.
Aye. Sorry.
Francis,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and yes, for me also. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is extension permit for 0 Grove Avenue, which is, I like to call it Baldwin Street, self-storage unit. That property has changed hands since we did the original notice of intent. Was a site visit there a couple weeks ago. I believe this one still has a few months to go also, but
It has till June.
yeah, but this project is definitely not going to be completed that quickly. Questions, comments from the commission? I will entertain a motion for approval of the extension permit for 0 Grove Ave.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I'm a yes vote also. All right. All right, moving on, we have a request for determination of applicability for 99 Maple Shade Avenue. I believe we need
Rebecca just told me she got an email from the applicant. They are withdrawing their application for the RDA.
okay, perfect. Okay, the next one was the ratification of the orders of conditions for the ANRAD for 43 South Bend, right?
Yes.
And everybody should have got those in their packet.
Mhm.
Did anybody have any issues, questions, or anything on them? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for ratification of the order.
So moved.
Second.
All righty, roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I'm a yes vote also. Next one, we're going to project monitoring. On here was Zero Grove Ave. I know there was a site visit, but I don't know that much has happened since the last meeting when we talked about this. Anybody have anything on this project?
No, other than this DEP sign with the numbers up. I don't know if they've started cutting trees yet or not.
Okay. Brownstone Gardens 2. I know there
That
was
was-
a letter
Sorry,
that
that was
came
supposed
in.
to be
three.
Brownstone Gardens 3.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Three.
And we received a phone call this afternoon from Christopher Carr with an update. Tom O'Brien had raised some concerns about dragging the debris over the ice. Concern being that seeds from the invasive species would drop onto the ice and eventually, when the ice melts, would fall into the watershed area. So Chris is working with R. Levesque to find another contractor so they can do the work as proposed.
All right, thank you. Francis, did you have something to add to that?
No, I recused myself.
Oh, all right, thank you. I guess the other one for hidden ponds, I could bring up for some project monitoring items that we received an email from Al Joyce stating how a component of the outflow of the retention basin was recently installed. And I know we're still waiting and working with Levesque for analysis of the functionality of the basin. And so that one is kind of in a holding pattern. But my only question regarding that, and I see Mr. Joyce is in the audience, that it's common practice. My question would be that if that is common practice, is there somewhere in best management practices where it states how that's common practice? And if yes, could you forward that to us? And I would like to I'm just curious as to why it would be common practice, and then how we determined that this was now the time to install it. But we can put that in a form of a question to Mr. Joyce and send it along. So I will respond to that email. The other one that I wanted to add there is we need to send Mr. Joyce a letter because similar to the Summers Road project that we just talked about with the DEP sign, I was out there and I'll do the best I can. Oh, you guys can't see this, can you? It's harder, but the signs all out there they were written on with magic marker on a piece of paper. And so a lot of them are pretty much illegible, and they also need to be able to be seen from the street. A lot of them are actually behind the houses now that are built, or they're way back on the limit of work line. So they need to be put into a prominent place. So I'll draft something up with the response to that email and send it to you, Bethany, that we can send to Mr. Joyce. Anybody else have anything under project monitoring? Hearing none, moving forward, the 2010 annual town report, or 2020, excuse me. Wish it was still 2010.
Funny.
I haven't spent much time with this. What's the deadline on it, Bethany?
I think it's early next month.
Okay. Do we have until the next meeting, the 10th?
Let me just double check.
I think we can still make changes. This isn't a big procedural thing that I don't think we need to have a big vote on it or anything, but.
February 19th.
Okay, perfect. We can do it, put that on to wrap it up at our next meeting. Next item, another business was the discussion for the request to amend the order of conditions for lot 17s on Hidden Ponds. Jeffrey did send out some information and it is correct. The applicant can definitely request the amendment to the order by doing a filing. It also needs to be sent in and filed with the DPW. There is no specific form for that. So if the applicant wishes to complete the paperwork for that and send it in, we will entertain it for our next meeting, I would say. If there's comments from any other commissioners?
Just that there be a professional stamp drawing with that.
Why? We haven't demanded that of other people.
It can be a requirement. It is not a definite requirement, I believe is the way it says in the regulations. And I'm not sure it needs to be on this one either. We don't have any, other than the original NOI filing, none of these drawings are stamped. But I know in order for him to get everything all set with the planning board at the end drawing, they do need to have professional stamp drawings. So I would say at this point, unless you can just instruct Mr. Joyce to proceed with his filing of the amendment. Anybody have anything else on that? All right, moving forward, the next one is discussion of the DPW bundled NOI. I see Mr. Christensen is in the audience. If he wishes to come on in and join the party, he can. But in looking at the regulations and looking at the application, it appears to me that this is pretty much, or is the same, I would say, as the existing bundled notice of intent. And I would recommend that they just file for an extension. This can virtually be extended indefinitely, unless they change the scope of work on it. Okay, here comes Tom.
Good evening.
Hey, Tom.
How we doing?
Good, and you?
You know, another evening in the basement on the Zoom, you know?
There you go.
Yeah, Craig, we didn't change. Mark had asked me that too, Mark Stinson. It's virtually the same. I think the stormwater map may have been updated only because the GIS gets updated, you know, but that's just one of the map appendices. I mean, I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay with the language, because I think when we were discussing the culvert project on Porter, that we had a little bit of a, I was interpreting something one way and you guys were interpreting it another. Now, I think we basically landed on, if we're replacing or repairing a culvert, that we would file a separate NOI, and that makes sense to me. So again, that's in that category of work that would require us having a meeting anyway.
Yeah.
So other than that, I know Mark last time said that I think you can approve it for up to 5 years. I don't know if that's prudent. And obviously that's up to you, but If we keep it the same, I guess that would be a request of mine, just so we could extend it out as far as you would allow.
If it's 5 years, it's news to me. I don't know if anybody else on the commission knows. But maybe because it's a municipal bundled NOI, you can do them for 5 as opposed to 3.
Yep, that's exactly right. It's in the handbook. I can scan in the page tomorrow and email it out for
Okay.
everyone to reference.
Is that just for municipal ones or?
Yep, municipal highway departments, DPW,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
All right. Then yeah, so, make it an easier filing and yeah, just file for the 5-year extension. We'll be good.
Okay.
Great.
The other part that I think they'll have to do is submit a certificate for compliance for the existing bundled NOI. I'm not sure what that would look like because it is a bundled NOI, but we can speak with Mark and even do that concurrently in one meeting, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, because we're not up till April something anyway, right? I just wanted to get out ahead of it,
Yeah.
so we had plenty of time to
Mm-hmm.
make sure we get all the ducks in a row.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Good seeing you, Tom.
Awesome. You too, guys. Have a good rest of the night.
Stay away from the COVID.
Yeah.
Let's see you.
That's pretty funny, Craig.
I do my best to invoke a little levity into the meeting, Tony. It
Very
was
good,
if
very
you were on
good.
camera. Next one was policies and procedures of the commission. I didn't really have anything in that regard this evening.
There's one more.
I did add, I emailed out a neighborhood outreach projects grant opportunity. I was wondering if the commission had any feedback on projects that you thought we could submit, any brainstorming.
When did you send that, Bethany?
I think it was last Monday or Tuesday.
I didn't see it.
I can send it out again.
Sorry.
I remember receiving it, but honestly, I didn't spend time with it.
It reminded me a lot of the effort to reach out to the abutters of the Pecusik, and maybe we could get funding to do something similar, or reach out to another neighborhood or population in East Long Meadow to spread the word about wetlands protections and resource management, etc.
The Pecusik one is a great idea because I know we discussed that at length when we were doing some site visits in the past and seeing, I'm going to say, varying degrees of minor violation along the banks.
Yeah.
That were fairly prevalent.
Okay, I found it. It's for Friday, January 15th. Okay. So. Yeah, I'm interested in taking a look at it. I missed it somehow. Sorry.
Okay.
Sure, if you have any comments, feel free to email me.
Okay.
I would love some suggestions on where to start, any projects you have in mind, neighborhoods you might want to focus on, that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Redstone would probably be a good one too, or Hidden Ponds. I mean, yep. Just because there is a lot of the things that, that are allowed there in that condition where people are allowed to have a little walkway down and they actually are allowed to have a little dock and put a canoe out there. That is actually permitted. Obviously we can't have a motorboat with a 50 horsepower motor out there, but but that's not a bad idea either, and and it helps promote the stewardship of the resource areas. But okay, I'll work on that and see what I can come up with and send you an email on that also, Bethany.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any commissioners have anything else to add?
Nope.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All right, roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
thank you for the suggestion. Will,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. Bethany and Rebecca, thank you for all your time and help this week. I know we did a lot in the last couple of days, and thanks to all the commissioners. And we shall be in touch.
Okay.
Have a good night.
I-
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Take care.